A toast to us.
Toast to us.
Hey, it's been a minute.
Yeah. It's been amazing.
I bet.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Marc Senecal, tell me what your life has been like and where have you been?
Life's been truly amazing. Nothing short of amazing. And I've been a little bit everywhere. Yeah, traveling all over the U.S. Heading to Canada next weekend for a few weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out, like, why am I doing all this traveling? Well, first of all, I want to travel.
Right.
And second of all, I want to spread this work to the world. So I feel like this is my warm up. And then I had a drop in on the plane coming back, and I was like, why am I traveling? Why am I reconnecting with all these people in my life? Like all people that played a significant part of my life or a significant role. And I'm like, man, unconsciously I'm building a network, a strong network to help me spread this work. And it's kind of like it's going beyond words. It's going beyond words. It's just being in proximity with these people that I've been with in other phases of my life. It's kind of like, it's matching a vibration to see, hey, is this still right? Or reconnecting and matching the resonance and vibration and being like, okay. And I haven't talked to or overly, talk to people about the work, just when it comes up, no pushing.
Good.
And I think just by my presence there, people can feel it. It's like, it's beyond words. It's I'm noticing more and more. It's a really interesting phenomena, and it has to do with the ripple and just my presence and resonance and
cool.
So yeah, I'm kind of noticing these amazing things, and I get to see all these amazing places and experience all these amazing experiences, life experiences, and they're coming in left and right, and I'm just open to it all.
Right. So the question that I wanted to ask you is, what question would you like to ask me? I thought maybe we'll go back and forth in the question department.
Yes.
So instead of me interviewing you, you can interview me, and we'll just do like lightning in a bottle and see what we catch.
Okay.
So what would you like to know? What's on your mind? Seriously, I mean, now that you didn't know I was going to even ask you that.
What's on my mind right now is what's it like to be Michael today?
Well, getting ready for you is pretty darn awesome. I got to tell you, I knew I was recording. I mean, I've been holding on to that phrase, lightning in a bottle, for a while. And I kind of, be honest with you, I feel the pressure because I wish we had recorded our last 5 or 6 sessions.
Right.
They were absolutely ridiculous.
Right.
And I'm not sure if maybe when we record them, if it changes the energy of things, I just wish that like we can have cameras that are eavesdropping.
Right.
And
without
even knowing. I don't have to worry about.
It's kind of like with the body work, when you step away,
right?
You're not observing, and then you let the magic happen then.
Exactly.
Without the observer effect, right?
Exactly.
I don't know. I mean, I'm super up for experimenting with this and seeing how it goes. I think our first session was a while ago, but it was pretty awesome.
Felix was here.
Right. And then Felix was here, and I got to eavesdrop on that amazing conversation and discussion.
I feel you on the floor.
Right.
Every time I watch that video, it's like, if you're wondering what Felix is doing, and there's Mark right there on the planted, it was just incredible.
Right.
I mean, don't you feel like there is some kind of like changing of the guard, if you will? Like, don't you feel like I'm passing the baton on to you on some level?
Oh, yeah. And you've made it more and more clear. And again, it's almost, you verbally affirm it and you energetically affirm it. And like we had one of our conversations not long ago was, hey, Mark, I want to be like part of your success team. Yes, I want to create somewhat of a collaboration, but this is not about me. It's about the work, and it's about you taking it to where it needs to go. And I'm excited about that.
Me too. Well, so what's your experience been like, since you've been doing this? I mean, like, can you explain to people, and is there any language that you can use about how things have changed for you? Are there words you can use?
Yes, there definitely are words that I can use.
Cool.
I love using words, and I think the biggest thing is obviously my perspective or my lens or paradigm on life is constantly shifting, and it's shifting. I feel like it's shifting proportionally to the amount of neurological expansion I'm experiencing. Which has to do with, how much I use the terminology and the words and the concepts and the work in everyday life, but also every time I consistently schedule my success and, continually serve and care for people, either verbally or on the table, doing callous work, or receiving care as a participant. All of it is integral, I guess. To
absolutely,
I think would be the word to what's going on in my life, and I'm like beyond words in terms of the exponential growth that I've been experiencing, and it's extraordinary, and a lot of people are feeling it. Everybody I come in contact with, something special happens to them, either right when I'm with them or shortly after. And special things have been happening to me or for me, like, consistently daily for the past 2 months, ever since I decided to go all in with the work, since the mini blue weekend.
It's pretty awesome. And I'm thinking about like the stories that I have in my head, and I don't even have a timeline. It's kind of random. And I wanted to ask you, how was the Sharks game? I mean, that's another piece.
Oh my goodness. So yeah, so
I know, but
so you asked me maybe a month ago or so, like, oh Mark, like I haven't heard you talk about hockey at all, and it's the playoffs and all. I was like, Doc, like hockey and playoff hockey is my favorite time of the year. Like,
no kidding.
I literally been watching a game every night that I can.
Sweet.
And so yeah,
level of play is pretty awesome, huh?
Level of play is the best in the world.
It is.
And these things are drawing me more and more, and I think it's deeper than just enjoying it.
Absolutely.
There's a vibrational component, a resonance component that I'm drawn to, and it's like I want to experience the best because I want to feel that. I'm feeling it more and more. And so Game 7 was pretty incredible, and that's understating it.
Yeah.
And the incredible thing about it too is I bought the tickets, day before the game, and it just so happened that I was in San Francisco visiting friends, reconnecting with friends, and then I said, 3 nights before, I said, Colorado's gonna win this game, and then so that I can go to Game 7 and bring a friend. And sure enough, I watched the game 3 nights before. Colorado wins in overtime. And then the next day, I phoned my friend from undergrad, again, reconnecting, and she works for the Sharks. And I said, hey, how you doing? Like, I'd love to meet up and catch up. And I heard from friends that you're working for the Sharks. Like, can you help me get tickets? And she helped me get access to tickets. And that was it. I'm going to the game. That's it. And the thing is, the manifesting power that I'm gathering is getting stronger and stronger. And
I know you got to be careful with that, though. You know
I
what
know.
I'm saying? You got to stay humble. It's one thing if you brag about it. It seems like it kind of goes away, but it's hard to discount. But I think that's probably the most important part is to kind of like chill out on it and not get too ahead of yourself.
And that's the thing is I'm noticing. I remember one of our sessions a month ago was we went over my intentions that I had a trip to Boston, or even before then it was a trip to Florida, and then I went through all the intentions that I wrote on the way there, and then all the ones that were aligned were all double check mark, like they exceeded expectation, and then the one that had no alignment at all.
You can feel the heaviness of that.
Yes.
You can actually assess the questions and find which ones were swirlful and which ones were like almost agenda laden and dense.
And so that one obviously didn't happen because it was in line. And if it did happen, it would have felt pushed. It wouldn't have felt right. Whereas all the other experiences just flowed and were swirlful and like really provided incredible benefit, or not even benefit, incredible life experience for myself and the people involved. And that I'm just refining that, and I understand that it's part of manifestation. And so I'm trying to be, I am being conscious and seeing, finding the metabolic capacity when it comes to those intentions and that manifestation. So it's a tool. It's a tool. It's a practice that I'm continually refining. And it's only getting more incredible.
Well, let me give you my feedback, because I actually haven't seen you since your radio interview with Chris, that podcast that you did. And I sent that link to a lot of people in the class and people in the work. And their feedback are the same as mine. Like, wow, how is this guy only a couple of months in? The way you have mastered the language itself, and it seems like it's... Like, you seem like there's a lot more where that came from. The languaging for you has not been a study, it's been an activation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I've noticed. And I mean, how do you even explain that? I mean,
I can't fully explain it, or I can explain it to the best of my knowledge.
Go ahead, go for it.
I think it's exactly that. It's not even a learning process. It's kind of like a revealing process in terms of like, I was missing something. I was missing a tool to get my full potential. And I think the language and the work was exactly that. And it kind of unlocked, you know, the mystery to the deeper I am, or the deeper self, and which is, you know, part of the whole, which is oneness. And I think I'm getting closer and closer to that. And the language is just the it's not the key. It's like
I wanted to say the catalyst,
right?
It
is a catalyst to that, right?
It's this whole thing. It's like language is going to alter your perspective. Your perspective is going to alter your language, and it seems like, you know, it doesn't really matter where you do it, but you got to keep going. You know, we call it momentum maintenance. You don't want to mess up the language while you're in a new vantage point, and vice versa. You know.
Right. And the further I go, the more I am aware of the language I use and the thoughts that I think. Like the thoughts are going through the roof. And anytime I have a thought that's suboptimal, I'm like, I pick it up much quicker. And the amount, if it's way suboptimal, it's like those almost don't exist anymore in my thoughts and my language. And now it's getting subtler and subtler and subtler. The amount of, you know, discrepancy from optimal.
Right. So if people are watching this, I think what they're hearing is language, and they go, well, what's the language? I mean, how do you even address that to people who are unfamiliar, who might be watching this for the first time just because you've done a video and they're checking you out and they want to know, like, well, what is the language? I mean, you know, are you still speaking English? I mean, what do you mean language?
Well, you know, it is language and it is English, and it's a lot of terms that you coined because, you know, there was insufficient language or insufficient wording in the English language, you know, enough to support the work.
Right.
And the continual development of the work. And I think the biggest term I can, you know, throw out there that's changed my life is the greaterness model.
Beautiful.
You know, the way you explained it to me was, you know, you have good, you have great, you have greatest, and then it's like, oh, well, I'm the greatest, so what's the point of going on? Because I'm greatest, there's nothing else. So you saw that and said, hey, well, you know, greaterness, unlimited expansion, unlimited, right? No ceiling to quality of life. And
God. But the fact that you pull in these terms like this,
I live it. I live it every day. I talk to everybody about it and really empower people. And people really
are getting it.
They get it
right,
like so quick because it's so simple and beautiful. It's simple, but it's profound.
Right.
It's not and it's profound. Right. And it really empowers people really quickly. And that's why these people that I come around or that come around me, you know, they change so quick. They could pick up one term like unconditional welcoming or greaterness model, and they just start to think on that word, and it changes their thoughts and it changes their actions.
Absolutely.
Changes their behaviors, changes their outcome. It doesn't take much.
You're nailing it, bro. That's beautiful.
All right,
your turn. Ask me a question.
Okay.
Because I could just keep on going.
Right. I'm just curious as to what you're seeing in the new people and the people who have returned, because it is definitely has a different feel than the first class I ever took, which was awesome.
It was awesome. It's just a different kind of awesome.
This one is different.
Yeah, I think that the other awesome of the first class was deep appreciation of it. I think everybody held a deep appreciation. This class, like last week, there were some serious tears being shed by guys and girls, big guys, big burly guys, and really, and I think it was just because we were just being honest. We were having a frank conversation about the greaterness model, about moving toward, and it was amazing. And I wish that you were there, because Liz, like I said, she was a rock star. She was incredible.
Right.
She was like right there. She's like picking up the slack where you left off. She just like, just stepped in those shoes. Hey, there's no number 2 here.
Right. Let's go.
It was cool. It really was cool. And I saw that, and just the dynamic and the inquiry that everybody was participating in. It was more than just, these guys were not in the stands excited about
Right.
the possibilities. These guys were like bleeding it, you know what I mean, in the class. And and we were watching the impact of people really being literally touched by these concepts and these ideas. And it really was that amazing. I mean, there was no doubt. It was like those who weren't crying were moved by those who were.
Do you think that the work we've done in the past few classes with the people that we've had are kind of allowing this
absolutely.
people to pick it up so quickly and not be spectators but be participants and jump all in, and then realizing that they have this tremendous jump off point, being chiropractic students, most of them. And
I think all of them
except Bill,
right?
And Bill's been doing
teaching,
this for teaching, right, for 20 years now, which is amazing. And so I think the door of chiropractic kind of opens. Well, chiropractic opens the door to picking up this work and running with it right away, and then the vibration that we're emitting right now is just being, I don't know, reciprocated?
Yeah, I think that line about the application of philosophy is not philosophizing.
All right.
I think that's a real huge piece, because people are learning that in order to apply the philosophy, you're going to have to embody it. And that's more than just studying it or observing it. It's like being a participant and observing your process and observing where everything is going and the thoughts that come in, and truly observing them and going, well, isn't that interesting that would just come in now? Like, why now? Like, what would be in it for me that would pop in? Right. And I think the class has a lot to do with what we call present time consciousness as well. I think, the work is ready, the people are ready.
Right.
It's almost like a match made in heaven. Like, synchronicity is definitely occurring here when you see where we are. Like, we're pretty well armed now with the work. I mean, after 25 years of doing this and observing, and now for whatever reason, I think that you played a big part in this. I just think there's some component, maybe Life University, maybe the way chiropractic is moving and the direction it's been moving. Maybe I had some kind of foresight, 25 years ago, 26 years ago, No, seriously.
Yes.
And now students like yourself and chiropractors like yourself are going, wow, this is like the deepest application of the philosophy that I know, because the philosophy is so, and always has been so solidly on. And my thing was like, well, what if you came outside of your technique? What if you came outside of the boundaries of what you think you're supposed to show up, and you really got present? How would you show up then? Right. And what we're finding out is people are showing up kind of the same. Right. It's almost humbling, like from one person to the next. Like, it's not like do what Scimeca says or do what Marc says. It's almost like do this. Oh, wow, you discovered the same thing. It's almost like corroborating that when you're really respectful and welcoming, and we all end up in the same place. Yes. So we're encouraging each other, going, keep going. Yeah, you found that. I found that too.
Yes. And then it's so empowering. And
it is so empowering.
And it really helps, along to have people there. Like, I'm so grateful to have you to be like, oh yes, this is what's happening, this phenomena or this concept or this law.
Right.
And this is happening, and that's why you're feeling this. Right. But, and then not over delivering, I guess,
Good, there you go.
Over delivering so that it's like, oh, this is overwhelming. No, it's always, I think that's why it's happening so quick, to be honest. I think it's because it's never exceeding metabolic capacity, and that way the nervous system's always open to learning and expanding. Right. Whereas if it was overwhelming, people tend to shut down. Right. Nervous system tends to shut down.
Absolutely.
And it cuts off that expansion.
Well, and I was actually voicing somebody who was watching going, you're talking about language, what is it? But I think that they're feeling it. And that's why I'm glad we're recording this. It's like lightning in a bottle. And there may be a natural tendency to want to know more, like concrete stuff. Like, give it to me concrete, as if that's where it's at. And the information that we share is just to help us process our experiences. And our experiences end all, that's it. That's the ultimate. Our experiences, like what's coming in that we're welcoming unconditionally, that we like, wow, why did that come in right now? Is this because I'm supposed to follow this, or is it because I have a call to answer? And it's like, great question. Well, when you ask that question, what do you think? You know, how does it feel? Like when whatever came in, does it make you feel incredibly light and like, going to the next level? Or does it feel like, oh, this is what I'm here to work on? This is still the same piece that I've had for the most of my life. I'm like, well, well, that's why you brought it up, man. Let's bring this to the light now and find out what's going on. Because once you bring it to the light, you can't go back to the darkness again, you know? And I think that's the stuff that people don't really understand or comprehend yet until they get in it. Maybe they can hear it off of us, you and me talking right now.
Yeah, but like you said, it's different between hearing it and being told, whereas to being offered suggestion and then questioning that and feeling that.
Right, exactly.
And, you know, I keep saying, like, this goes beyond words because it does. It goes through feeling. Right. You know, it goes through feeling. You feel it energetically. You feel it. And I think that's at the level that we process.
Absolutely.
And you need to feel it to really process it and to really embody it and to actually change your vibration and your resonance.
And see what you're talking about right now, people would take that and personalize it. Like, you need to feel it. You need to feel it. And you're right. But I think what Catalyst is doing in the greaterness model and all of this is it's having you feel the interplay, the dynamic.
Yes.
Because that's magical. And we don't know what's going to happen because you're in whatever place in you, I'm in whatever place in me. And we get a representation of that chemistry. And feeling that is a real game changer.
Right.
So this is where, let me have a breath here, because I think the breath is important. I'm having a great appreciation. I mean, even a deeper appreciation. How about that? A greater, using the greaterness model.
Right.
Of stopping and the role that stopping plays in not only enhancing awareness, but truly talking about optimal functioning, you know, talking about like lessening the loads. There's so much that seems to be happening through conscious stopping. And tomorrow we're going to actually talk about the something in the nothing.
Okay.
And the nothing in the something and the touch of nothing and how that's so much different than just doing nothing. It's pretty powerful. And I'm sorry I brought that up now because it's probably really cryptic when you hear it just.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you get it. Yeah.
I do know.
I'm talking about people. I'm always listening for the people who are listening.
I'm excited.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Now. Yeah, I even said to Liz, I said, make sure we talk about nothing.
Right.
Well, it's true.
People might be interested in that.
Well, the role of making sure that the nervous system or the individual gets a dose of nothing, and I'm not just talking about like stopping, because when you stop and it's just you're hearing, believe it or not, your own noise even in the stopping. It's a very fascinating phenomena. But when somebody comes in and touches you with the touch of nothing, that's not designed to facilitate anything, that's designed to just stop, that's something you weren't about to perceive in your own downtime, or if you're going to meditate in silence. And I don't think people really understand how valuable nothing really is, right, as far as not just, you know, recalibrating, like we talk about in Catalyst, how we recalibrate the proprioceptive system, but there's so much more involved just to the being of who I am. If I can have some kind of external stimuli that brings me to a depth of nothing that's not personal.
Wow.
You get it?
Yes, I do. Yeah. I get it. And I look forward to getting it on a deeper level.
Yeah. Oh, and you will. And you will. But so my point that I was trying to make was I'm having such a deep appreciation, or deeper appreciation around stopping and the role that plays, and how that 0 point, we call it, before mindfulness, you know, that is everything, you know. Even in the work Catalyst, if your tensions are what they are, that's going to determine your resonance, your frequency, your vibration, and your energy, right? And we're always thinking like, hey, we got to change your energy, your frequency, your vibration, right? And all that's got to change. And how do you change that, right? It's almost like, wow, archetypes, stopping, you know, getting a break from yourself. And then once you have those changes that happen in frequency, resonance, energy, and resonance. I say that: frequency, resonance, energy, and vibration. Once you have those four things happening and they're all correlated to each other, then it's a question of just having the mind, body, and soul all connected with that, you know, that it's cohesive and coherent with that shift. Because if it is, once there's that change in resonance, frequency, vibration, and energy, and your body and your mind and your spirit is now becoming aligned with that, oh my gosh. I mean, of course you're going to see differently. Of course you're going to be more optimal. Of course you're going to be more liberated. Of course you're going to be more wise. You know, and really, what is it? Are you any wiser? No, but you have greater access to the wisdom. Right. You know, you're not really any wiser. You just have easier access to true wisdom.
Yes.
And that's, something a lot of people don't really understand. But I think this work is going to blow up soon.
I can feel it. I can feel it.
I do.
And like we mentioned before, there's no resistance.
Right.
It feels super light, and people are picking it up and running with it and changing on the spot.
How about the unconditionalness of unknown face? Like, we don't even care who gets it and who doesn't. That's the best part. Is like there's no attachment that somebody get it, because we kind of recognize that, well, where they are in their process is going to indicate whether it's right or not for them to get it, and we have such deep reverence for that.
Yes.
So it's no longer ideology where we're hoping everybody gets it. It's like, no, we know better than that, and everybody's not going to get it.
People will get it in their own due time.
Right. But aren't you excited to find out those who are getting it? And aren't they just like immediately like community members and like our tribe?
Super excited.
Look at you. Look how excited you are and how you fuel me and my own excitement and vice versa. Right? And there's so many more people out there who know that there's something out there, but just didn't have any idea or can't even comprehend that this is available to them. And then you offer it and boom. Right?
Exactly. And I love the simplicity of it, the beauty of the simplicity, and it's easy to communicate, and it's easy to... it's easy to present, and it's easy for people to grasp because of the work itself. Metabolic capacity. You're not gonna push them over metabolic capacity by talking about deeper concepts that are irrelevant at the moment.
Here you go.
You just embody the work, and you are the callus every time you come in contact with somebody, because how far reaching it is. Just even one word.
Even one word. Well, we always said, we talked about, above all, do no harm. And what is harm, right? And you even hit it, anytime you exceed metabolic capacity. And we say, at what point does it become a shift? Does it have to be profound, or is a subtle shift a shift? And clearly a subtle shift is a shift. And any shift, to whatever degree you're having, is going to be a step in the right direction, right? Because you're more dynamic. People are thinking like, oh my God, if I shift, it's going to get worse. And it's like, no, it actually doesn't do that. It really, really doesn't. It's amazing how it doesn't matter whether you call it diffusion or like you open up the door and it's like, it all balances out. So if you're too tense and you're opening up, that tension is going to loosen. It's natural. I mean, it's this in equilibrium or homeostasis or whatever you want to call it.
Well, how can it get worse
when
you're expanding neurologically
and you're open?
You're open and you're creating new connections.
There it is.
How? That's the opposite of war. That's the opposite of dying, I think.
It is. I agree. That's beautiful. And there's a component of dying, right, when you're expanding.
All right.
So we think of current self, right? The current self really does die to some degree, to the exact degree that you're emerging.
That's why. Do you think that's why some people find it so difficult, especially at the beginning, to change?
Absolutely.
Because their self that they've been for so long, that self is, or that version, I should say, of self is dying, and that's the version that's been living the longest in their mind.
Right.
And so...
Well, let me tell you a phenomena. If somebody wants to kill themselves, right, and they're suicidal and they just don't know how to do it, and they're serious, they mean it, they really want to kill themselves, and somebody comes along and takes their head and puts them in a bowl of water or a bathtub, they fight like crazy, even though they want to die. It's like instinctive to have what's called a survival mechanism. And I believe that every brain state, which is familiar, it's recursive, it's habituations, I think they all hold that same survival mechanism. I think they know that there's a death coming. And I think that the tendency is instinctual to kind of hang on, to keep things familiar and comfortable. And I think that's why we say, like, welcome to the mystery and make peace with the unknown and begin this whole process. Because if you start consciously doing that, really, really seriously doing that, you have a much easier time of expanding, of emerging, of letting go. But if you don't do that, if you're not really consciously choosing to make peace with the mystery, then obviously when changes are going to happen, the brain, which is recursive, doesn't want to leave its state, right? It wants the comfort, it wants the familiarity, it wants the habituations. And we see this. That's what's so fascinating, is that, talk about like a phenomena, it's in everybody. And so people say, for some reason I resist change. It's like, man, this is like neurological. This is metabolic. This is like deep in the fiber of your being. And there's a reason for it. It's almost instinctual to resist change. So what does that tell you? For there to be real change, you got to be conscious, really conscious, and participate and go, wow, wait a minute, I do want to emerge. And that has to stay on the front burner. So what happens now if you're being more conscious? Boom, frontal lobes are lighting up, right? The whole using more of the prefrontal cortex and less of the reptilian brain and all the brainstem and everything that's habituated, you know, the animalistic brain, everything that's a reflex. You're not using that as much, the habituated brain. And just by going into those levels of higher functionality, don't you think that's a game changer?
It's really awesome that you mentioned that, because I don't even know if it's conscious and unconsciously gauging people on their amount of stuckness and their amount, you know, which relates exactly to this. It's like, oh, I see where the access point might be.
Right.
You know, I know we focus on the good, but we notice what we notice.
Right.
And it's like, oh, if I can just help catalyze from this point over here to change this over here,
right?
And I'm speaking about brain states, you know.
Absolutely.
It's like, oh, maybe focus on an optimal neurological pattern,
right,
to help change that recursive pattern and get out of that neural groove and start to shallow it a little bit.
Absolutely.
And I've been playing a lot with that recently, and it's for this version of me, it can be challenging at points, because I just love people so much, and especially my friends and family, and I see how recursive they might become, and I you know.
Let me throw out a concept here that might help you, and I think that a lot of people are uncomfortable with this concept because it sounds like you're throwing people under the bus, but the truth is, you're really not. Do you throw a baby under the bus when you say, hey, he's 2 years old? He's 5 years old. He's 8 years old. And you're being honest with yourself that he's a 2-year-old or that he's a 5-year-old or an 8-year-old. And so you don't expect 2-year-olds to do long division. And it's hard for us to really understand, and here's the term soul age. You know, you hear people say, oh, he's an old soul. Well, you kind of get that sense that there's a soul age. Some people are like, oh, you're talking about past lives? I don't even know what I'm talking about. I don't know if I'm talking about past lives. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. I really don't know. I'm not trying to be slimy. I just don't know. I just know that there are some people who are just older souls. And when you see somebody who's a younger soul, meaning what you said about stuck, you really want to honor where they are in their gestation period. Maybe they're only 1 month pregnant, so they're not even close to having a baby. And you're wanting them to have a baby. It's like, that would be disastrous. They're only 1 month pregnant. So, you know, you really have to honor the gestation period of where someone is and really recognize that they're not necessarily stuck. They're expressing integrity. We talk about authenticating their process. They're authenticating their process, and your job is to learn from that and kind of go with it and work with it and go, oh, I just found out he's a 2-year-old. Oh my gosh. Oh my God. I was getting frustrated because I was treating him like a college student. He's like, oh, you silly, silly boy. You were treating him like a college student.
So then you meet them where they're at.
Right. Exactly.
Acknowledge them, love them.
That's it.
And then from that level, then you work with them.
Absolutely.
Catalyze.
Absolutely. Well, you don't want to, like, just because somebody's in kindergarten and you realize you can't teach them, like, you know, trigonometry, you don't want to stop teaching them the kindergarten curriculum.
Right.
So of course you meet them at their level because you want them to get to first grade, like succession's greaterness, right? You want them to get to level 2 and then level 3. And that's what we're all doing here with this work. So hope that sounds good and feels good.
Yes, it feels really good, and you know, described in those terms, it's relieving to a certain degree for me at this moment, or this version of me, for sure.
Well, doesn't it feel much better to turn around and say that they're at an integrous point within their gestation period, rather than saying, I see this stuckness.
Right.
I mean, you talk about perspective. That's a great example about how there's how language changes your perspective. Like you were seeing it as stuck, and now you're seeing it as, oh, they were authenticating their process for the soul age in which they are, and they just revealed themselves, their true age. I can show up for them at this age.
Right.
You know, and it's really cool without being attached to them showing up a certain way. And if they don't, I get frustrated. How about this for relationships? You think like this would be like a successful practice in marriage, or dating, or like, you know, coworkers, and
all relationships, all connections, even with yourself.
Exactly, with yourself. Yeah. All right. So what else?
I understand to some degree. I mean, I understand to a great degree this process that we're all going through, and especially the one that I'm going through more and more, and it's really fascinating, and I think that's why I'm growing so quick, is because I'm so fascinated and curious by it.
You're engaged.
Engaged.
No, really, you really are. You're interesting. That's what we talk about. It's compelling, right? It's definitely stimulating. That's another word. It's meaningful for you, right? It has value.
Right.
So there's so many aspects to this, and I don't think it's ever going to stop for you.
No, I don't feel that. I mean, I don't feel it stopping either. I feel like that's it. We've opened the door and that's it. It's like wide open, explore.
Right. Do you have appreciation now of the whole terminology about taking the deeper dive?
Right.
We talk about that. This is just a deeper dive. And, as you take this deeper dive, in order to take this deeper dive, you have to be more conscious. You can't be routine. Isn't that a beautiful gift? Wow. People talk about being present all the time.
Oh, man.
Isn't it being present when you're new?
Right. I love it. I love it. And I love the go with itness. And, the more I go with it, in every area in my life, and I use that newfound awareness and answer the calls and the signs, and it's like, wow, it keeps getting better. And again, I mentioned this in the podcast that I did with Chris. I ask myself almost literally every day. I ask myself, because I feel like every day I'm living the best day of my life, is literally how I feel. And I keep asking myself, like, does this really get better than this? Can it really get better? And in some way, shape, or form, it seems to.
And now here's a really important point, because I think people are thinking it may be Pollyanna, because aren't you dealing with life's catastrophes and how difficult life is? And, those things don't really go away. We're not talking about, living, with rose-colored glasses or putting your head in the sand. We're talking about being able to deal with the catastrophes with a good mindset, even if you're in pain.
Yes.
To have a really good mindset, or if it's terminal, God forbid, right? Things of that nature. It's like you still can be more optimal. That's the thing that's so beautiful, is that we are truly these beings in process, and there's nothing any of us can do about that. And we might as well take the step in the right direction that makes us, better, more, whatever you want to call it, connected, clear. I mean, how many things, purposeful, meaningful, liberated is a good word. How about that? If we can become more liberated from our own past and our own past beliefs, instead of living in a tunnel vision of our own dogmas, of our own concepts, of our own making. Imagine if we can come liberated from that and find out, wow, if I just change these glasses.
Well, that's the way I feel, and I think liberated might be the best word, the best use of the word for whatever I'm experiencing. I'm sure you experience the same thing or similar. And you're totally right that it doesn't mean that I don't feel pain. I actually feel pain more.
Right.
I feel more sadness at times, and I feel more uneasiness or more uncomfortability, and I just feel more. And because of that, I become more empowered by those feelings.
That's beautiful.
And I process them. I feel like I process them way better, if you will, or to a way greater degree for, in terms of the greater model, for growth and development, and to pay it forward and empower others. And so it's definitely not pain free we're all dealing with these amazing parts of life, and they are amazing because it's in the field of possibility. You have one end of it, and the other end, but are there really ends? It's infinite.
Well, what about that whole confronting your demons? Isn't that what we're really doing here? I mean, isn't our current self truly what we're facing? Aren't the only challenges we're facing really ourself? While we're thinking it's external, it's our interpretation of the external. It's our relationship to the external. It's the way we choose to handle it, how we choose to file it, the narrative we use. Is it happening to you or for you? And isn't that the greatest and really the only battle we're really facing while we're experiencing life in its fullness? We may not like it, or we like it, or we get a hand that we like, or a hand that we quote unquote don't like, which is kind of foolish really, because if it's coming, it's awesome. But imagine that the confronting of your demons is nothing more like that your greaterness is the part that's liberated from the part of you that's trying to be true to yourself and keep you here. And that the devil in us, or the darkness in us, is the part of us that doesn't grow, that holds, even though we can honor that parts of us aren't to grow, but what about the parts of us that are? Are you taking the step that you can take? You know, are you at least focusing on it, even with breath? Right. You know, gently. Can you gently see what's next for you? And are you looking at that? And can you give yourself permission to be even slightly more liberated than you were yesterday? And isn't that like a win from the light side, right? Isn't that
yes.
right? Isn't
that
it?
It totally is. And, you know, that just brought to mind, you know, peanut butter motherfucker.
Right.
You know,
Well, you better explain what that is.
Right. Peace, breath, movement, fluidity.
Right.
And to me, it equals lightness and easiness.
Right.
You know,
and going with itness.
And going with itness. And once and even that just slight change in any one of those parameters, you know,
right. You don't need a lot.
No, it's just that little bit, and it just softens the edges.
That's it.
And it's like, man, I can deal with this because look at that. It's not
my
so
edges just
sharp.
got softer. Right. Exactly.
It's
and I can't deny that I'm in a better place now than I was a second ago. Am I anywhere where I'd want to be? No, but I can't deny that I'm a lot better off than where I was. And who doesn't want a dose of that, right?
And I think that's where it all starts.
Right.
You have to have that softness, or you have to have that unconditional welcoming, which brings that softness to you know, peace, breath, movement, fluidity, lightness, and ease. And that's where it starts. And I'm starting to realize the power of that and to help people and help myself, obviously. But now I've been helping myself so much. I'm like, man, I need to help others. You know, they need this.
Absolutely.
You know, whoever's open to it.
There it is. Right.
Whoever's open to it. And, you know, it's interesting because the more open I am and thinking along those terms, the more people are actually open to
Absolutely.
it.
Absolutely. Yeah, because you know why? It's safe. Because you're not pushing it. You know what I'm saying? You're really letting people say, no, thank you. That makes it safe to really explore. So let me ask you this. If you could share anything with an unknown audience, let's just assume there are people that you and I don't even know that are going to happen upon this. Where's your juice right now? Like, what do you want to share that you're juiced to share? If nothing else, maybe for posterity, you can look at this a couple of years from now, maybe, and see what came out of your mouth, you know, and you might even be the audience, the unknown face.
I'd probably be,
Right. So what's juicing you right now that you really care to share?
The work is so amazingly wonderful, and so much of it valuable and profound and deep on so many levels. And I think where it all started for me was that unconditional welcoming. Again, I feel like we always get back to that.
That's good. I'm okay
I
with
know
that.
it's unbelievable, but it seems
work on the basics. Abbott-Tenosi would be very, very
right?
happy to hear that you're working on the basics.
And that would be the underlying concept or foundation for everything, for this whole work. And that's where you start the change by softening the edges, or softening the whatever it is you're facing.
Right.
You start
there
with you start with that, and then it just seems like a little bit lighter, and just a
there
little bit lighter, and that's all you need to start creating that change in the opposite direction of whatever way you were going.
Softening your relationship to what presents itself.
Yes.
Right. And we might think like, oh, this is horrible. And so we're going to have this is a horrible relationship with it. And then you can say, oh, this is good. Now we're going to have a celebratory relationship to it. But what if you were really, really gentle to anything that presented itself? Wouldn't that help you be more optimal in dealing with whatever it is, even if it's catastrophic?
Exactly.
I mean,
and it does, and it has, and you know, that's really what I'm trying to help whoever I come in contact with kind of realize, you know. And like you said, some people are just not ready.
Right.
Which is fine, which is great.
But think about how many people are. We're not even touching all those that are ready.
Not
so
even
we have some
close.
work to do. Maybe this video is going to help.
This is part of it, I think.
I think so.
Yeah.
I really do. I really, really believe that this is part of it. Because we really don't know who we're going to touch or how or what degree. But I think, you know, there is a force out there that, instead of may the force be with you, may you be with the force.
I love that. They had it backwards in the movie.
Did
you believe it?
They really, really did. May the force be with you.
Maybe
it's sort of like maintaining your state, your recursion. There's no growth in that. May the force be with you. Of course, you could say that they mean that may the force be with you, and you're going to be on this greaterness process, continually growing. But then that's why we want to use the word greaterness. So then that way you can, but then once you choose the greaterness model, right? Then the idea is, how are you going to do it? May you be with the force in doing it. This is too much. This is too little. This is just right. And if you can start having a more conscious relationship to everything in your life, you're going to get amazing results, right? We talked about that, where the miracles come from. The extraordinary results come from extraordinary perception, you know?
I mean, I've been feeling that, and I've been seeing it.
Right.
You know, I've been feeling it and seeing it in others, which is amazing. And seeing it in others when they don't even realize at the beginning. So that's really special to me.
Well, for closing, I want to just go again. This is what I do. I do this a lot. And I think that some people don't trust it, but I know it's genuine and sincere. Just want to thank you for your level of in-ness with all of this, because it has rippled, and everybody in the work is feeling the vitality of this new you.
Oh man,
seriously, and it makes a big difference. And so, don't think, never underestimate, right? Never. What is it? Come on, never underestimate.
I know it. Do you want to say it, or do you want me to say it?
I want to. Hold on.
You got it.
No, actually, I don't.
All right.
Never. Hold on. It's not underestimate. What something you think, do, or say today affects the lives of millions tomorrows, but never. What is it? Never doubt. Is it never doubt?
It's not doubt. It's
Wow. Anyway, it's a quote from B.J. Palmer.
It might be underestimate. No, never underestimate the power
of something you think, do, or say today affects the lives of millions tomorrow. I may have started it wrong.
Maybe that's what it is.
I don't know. We'll have to look it up.
Right. That's one of my favorite quotes.
It's definitely,
if not my favorite.
Right. And people like grammar slam it because it's not grammatically correct, but I mean, energetically, you get it. I mean, again, this is what I mean. I think Catalyst is so awesome because it's outside the box, and oh well. If it doesn't fit grammar, what are we going to do? We're going to make it fit, or we're going to take the resonance of this, this grammatically incorrect sentence.
It's too strong.
Right, it's too strong. Sometimes you just have to split the infinitive. It's just too important.
Right. Love that.
Anyway, love you, man. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for your guidance or continued guidance. And now it's like, we're just getting deeper and deeper in the discussion, and I think we're going to be helping more and more people, which is amazing.
Yeah. I'm glad we're doing this, and let's do this some more, because all the experts say you have to amass content, and I can't think of anything better for amassing content than a genuine conversation with you and me, letting this energy be captured on film so people can feel it anytime you watch it. Plus, the content doesn't suck either, No,
the content is, to say the least, awesome.
Right. Dr. Awesome.
Right, Dr. Awesome.
So now Dr. Great Ernest, Doc. So talk about your brand as we leave. What do we got? Because, I mean, this is beautiful. Give it to us.
Again, I've made connections and reconnected with friends from my recent past, and they're all doing amazing things too. And so now I'm seeing all these win-win situations. And so one of my friends has helped me build my brand, because again, for marketing, not marketing, but just for credibility in this digital age, you need all these social medias, you need the content out there, and so. It's just a way to share these things.
Well, share it. Drop your name.
All right. So my name is everything is the Great Ernest Doc, and that's for all the social medias. And I'm still developing them. It's in the process of being developed. If you need to email me, please reach out to me at thegreaternestdoc@gmail.com.
That's beautiful.
And then all my social medias are the Great Ernest Doc. So if you just type that in, you'll find me. And I have Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and then probably like 5 or 6 other ones that my friend linked me with, and I have no idea how to use yet, but I'm learning.
That's it. Learning curve.
Right.
I see neuroplasticity in your future.
Yes. I'm excited for it.
Mark, man, thanks, man.
Thank you.
Until next time.
Till next time.
All right.
Awesome.